Metal Gear series spans 4 decades and encompasses an enormous cast of characters steeped in espionage, shadowy conspiracies, and of course, weaponized mechs and robots called Metal Gear. Hideo Kojima's brainchild features some of the most memorable and bizarre characters in video game history. But since the series has spawned numerous spin-offs and has a tendency to retcon details from its 30-plus years of lore, we're sticking to Kojima's Metal Gear Saga, defined in 2015.
But the games in the series that I've personally designed and produced, Metal Gear on MSX, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, and Peace Walker, and now Metal Gear Solid 5 are what constitute a single Metal Gear Saga.
The original Metal Gear brought us Solid Snake, the world's greatest special ops soldier and spy, one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. He's been referred to or appeared in over a dozen games outside the series. Big Boss is the other major character of the series. In addition to appearing in nearly every game, he also created the Special Forces unit Foxhound, helped found the Patriots, and provided the genetic basis for Solid Snake and others to be cloned from him. Helping Snake complete his mission in this game were Kyle Schneider, who provided information about the layout of the base, and Jennifer, who offered support on the ground. When Diane wasn't offering radio support for Foxhound operatives, she sang in a punk band. One of the more enduring characters introduced here was Gray Fox, a friendly operative who would eventually go rogue before becoming a cyborg ninja. And though he didn't get a lot of screen time, it was Dr. Madnar who was forced to create the first Metal Gear walking nuclear tank, due to Big Boss holding his daughter Ellen hostage. The bosses in the original Metal Gear weren't as interesting as the ones in later games, but each of the Outer Heaven mercenaries had a unique weapon or fighting style. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake kicks off when Keo Marv, a scientist who created a world-changing substance, gets himself kidnapped. Enter Roy Campbell, the head of Foxhound, who organized his rescue. Campbell's portrait in this game was based on a character from Rambo. Big Boss's mercenaries opposed Snake on his mission to Zanzibar Land. Black Ninja, Running Man, Night Fright, Jungle Evil, Red Blaster, and the 4 Horsemen Assassination Squad joined Gray Fox on this formidable roster. Kaz Master Miller appeared here for the first time. He played important leadership roles in all of Big Boss's special forces and mercenary operations. The rest of the cast was comprised of one-off characters who didn't reappear in later games. There was Marv's bodyguard, Gustave Hefner, and the undercover CIA agent and journalist, Holly White. George Kassler prided himself on his knowledge of every mercenary in the world, and Johan Jacobson was an animal expert who offered Snake advice about the wildlife he encountered. At the end of the game, Charlie, an unseen helicopter pilot, provided the heroes a safe exit. Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1 installment introduced new villains, the Sons of Big Boss, led by Liquid Snake. Like Solid Snake, Liquid was a clone of Big Boss, but he thought he received the weaker genes while Solid Snake got all the power and talent.
You stole everything from me.
Liquid's right-hand man was Revolver Ocelot, a man so skilled with a handgun that he could hit moving targets with ricocheted bullets. He also captured and tortured Snake. Other baddies introduced here were the mind reader Psycho Mantis.
You have not said often. You are somewhat reckless.
The heavy weapon-toting shaman Vulcan Raven.
I will not let you pass.
And the sharpshooter Sniper Wolf.
You're my special prey.
As well as Decoy Octopus, who unceremoniously died while impersonating a prisoner. On the side of the good guys, we met Mei Ling, who know all the best Chinese proverbs.
The graveyards are full of indispensable men.
And Naomi Hunter, who worked on nanomachines. Kenneth Baker gave up key information while under interrogation. Otacon made his debut by wetting himself, but asking,
"Do you think love can bloom, even on a battlefield?"
Colonel Campbell's niece, but really his daughter, Meryl Silverberg, was a talented soldier who went on to lead a special forces unit called Rat Patrol 1. We also met the diarrhea-prone Johnny Sasaki.
This is not good.
Weapons expert Natasha Romanenko, and Secretary of Defense Jim Houseman, who would be fired and later take his own life. Metal Gear Solid 2 introduced short-lived Russian villain Sergei Grlukovich, who held U.S. Marine Commandant Scott Dolph at gunpoint while Ocelot stole Metal Gear Ray. Snake's fight with Grlukovich's pregnant daughter Olga is the only time in the series the player is forced to use a non-lethal weapon. Raiden was the game's surprise protagonist, taking the spotlight while Snake receded to the background. Like Gray Fox, in later games, he would become a cybernetically enhanced ninja. Helping Raiden during the mission were explosives expert Peter Stillman and Raiden's wife, Rose, short for Rosemary. Here, terrorists headed up by the third clone of Big Boss, Solidus Snake, had taken over a tanker and kidnapped US President James Johnson and Colonel Richard Ames. Also caught in the crossfire was Otacon's stepsister, Emma Emmerich. Accompanying Solidus were the members of Dead Cell, a rogue anti-terror task force comprising Immortal Vamp.
Unfortunately, haven't had no vacancies.
Invincible Fortune.
What the hell is that?
And rollerblading explosives expert, Fat Man.
It's time to start the party!
Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, takes place during the Cold War, with Soviet Colonel Volgin looking to acquire nuclear weapons, even though he could control electricity and fire with his mind. The boss, an important figure in the series, made her primary appearance here. She was the mother of Ocelot, mentor to Big Boss, and created close-quarter combat. Oh, and she was the first American in space. Not a bad resume. Big Boss, here codenamed Naked Snake, took center stage in this game, supervised by Major Zero and assisted by a medical expert named Paramedic and a weapons specialist called Sigint. On the ground, Snake got support from Eva, a double agent pretending to work for the KGB. Other assorted characters introduced in Snake Eater were Sokolov, Raykov, and Granin on the Soviet side, and the unnamed CIA director and DoD official on the US's side. The new batch of enemies was the Cobra Unit, Elderly Sniper, The End, Spirit Medium, The Sorrow, Hornet Master, The Pain, Terror-Inducing, The Fear, and Flame-Throwing Astronaut, The Fury. With Metal Gear Solid 4, we finally got back to the present-day storyline. After losing his arm in MGS2, Ocelot had Liquid's arm grafted on in a transplant. Ocelot used nanomachines and self-hypnosis to make it look like Liquid's consciousness took over his mind, turning him into Liquid Ocelot. Old comrades helped Solid Snake stop Ocelot's play for world domination, plus newcomers like Drebin 893, a gunrunner with a pet monkey, Jonathan, a heavy weapons expert with a mohawk cut to look like an exclamation point, Ed, a long-range sharpshooter, and let's not forget Sonny, a computer programmer Otacon wound up adopting. Giving Liquid Ocelot an assist was the Beauty and the Beast Corps, a group of female soldiers who each had combat-enhancing suits. They were codenamed Screaming Mantis, Laughing Octopus, Raging Raven, and Crying Wolf, in tribute to the sons of Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid. Just like in Metal Gear Solid 3, Big Boss took center stage in Peace Walker, leading the mercenary group MSF. He's aided by rebel leader Amanda and her rather traumatized brother Chico, along with a student named Paz, who would wind up playing a role in Big Boss's near death a few years later. Joining them are Otacon's father, Huey Emmerich, and a French ornithologist named Cecile, who's a talented cook. Undercover KGB officer named Zadornov had a lighter built into his prosthetic hand to support his smoking habit. CIA operative Hot Coldman played the villain, with a complicated and misguided plan to end the threat of nuclear war. The ace up his sleeve was Dr. Strangelove, an AI research scientist who helped create a nuclear-equipped tank called Peace Walker.
And taking the actions that human beings cannot.
Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes was a short prologue to the Phantom Pain. Its mission found Big Boss trying to rescue Paz and Chico from enemy hands. Along the way, he met a pair of sniper spotters named Glaz and Pallets, as well as a man called Hideo, who bore a striking resemblance to a certain game maker.
What took you so long?
The leader of the prison camp was Skullface, scarred by burning oil as a child during World War II, and the primary foe of the final canon installment, the Phantom Pain.
Behold,
Today is the day weapons learn to walk upright!
The Phantom Pain picks up with what appears to be Big Boss coming out of a very long coma and meeting Dr. Constantino, whose bedside manner could have used some work.
Please look down.
He was soon strangled to death by the assassin Quiet, who would later be infected with a parasite that gave her superpowers but took away her voice. Rounding out the game's new heroes was Dee Dee, a dog who just so happened to be a very good boy. On the opposition side, Skullface hired a biologist named Code Talker to develop a parasite capable of wiping the English language from Earth. He used a modified version of it to create a band of super creepy villains called the Skulls. As for Venom Snake, you're better off playing the game to find out who he is. The reveal packs a punch. And with that, the Metal Gear saga comes to a close. With Kojima and Konami having parted ways, we're unlikely to get another installment fans will consider canon. If they do ever manage to make up and collaborate again, it would be a plot twist worthy of a Metal Gear game. If you like this content, then make sure to follow IGN's Every Ever on Facebook for everything on the world's most iconic games, characters, and franchises. If it's need to know, it's in this show.